Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all having a good Sunday. This Sunday's video, a few things we're going to have a little look at. First thing is our elevator on the diet feeder. So it's the diet feeder we're using all the time feeding the cattle. We've changed the elevator on it. We're going to have a look at that. We're going to look at some of the benefits of having this newer type elevator on it, hopefully. So yeah, we'll have a look at that, maybe get a bit of footage of it working. Second thing that we're going to check out, our teleporter earlier in the week had an RDS weighing system fitted onto it. So we'll have look at some of the features on that, some of the benefits of having the likes of that on one of your, whether it's your teleporter or your loader tractor around the yard, whatever. We'll have a look at that as well. And the third thing we're going to check out is, I've seen Farmer P and Adrian from my farm, We Farm, over the last 3 or 4 weeks of this cold weather, having some issues with getting their Case Internationals to start. So we're going to show them how a real tractor starts. So just before we get going, if you're not already a subscriber, don't forget to hit the sub button, leave a like in the video, comment down below, all that kind of stuff. All helps the channel, so it's all very much appreciated. So, as I say, we've changed the elevator on our diet feeder. Why have we changed it? Well, the old elevator we've been using up until now, the very first one of these diet feeders we purchased back, I think it was around 2001 or 2002, it had that elevator on it. Now, has been a good elevator. Was one of the, I suppose you could call it a Rolls Royce of elevators at the time. It's the kind of elevator that was in all diet feeders about 20 years ago. But technology has moved forward, has changed now a bit. And over the last 10 years or so, we've moved on, maybe even a little more than that, we've moved on to these belt type elevators. The idea of them is that rather than the one that we had on the feeder up until now, this one here now, there's much less spillage with it, and less spillage means less waste. It also means less clearing up and cleaning up in the feeding passage. So it's huge for us. That's a huge benefit to not have to go into every shed after we finish up, sweeping it up, brushing it up, and yeah, it just hopefully will save maybe about half an hour's manual labour around the yard every day. Yeah, so this is the elevator. This is now what comes on most of your Abbey feeders now, is this style of elevator. Well enough designed. Only used it once last night, and so far fairly impressed with it. A couple of wee tweaks. I probably won't open the door just as wide tonight. I had the door open maybe a little bit too wide last night, and it just meant there was a bit too much material coming out onto it. But even at that, it still handled it fairly well. You can see on the sides here, there's two like small greedy boards that comes up, just kind of stops material from falling out on the side. Has got the same here on this side as well. So nice little design that. You can see there's brushes then also here on the side. That stops the material then from hopefully getting down alongside the belt and then in onto the belt. It could cause any issues or jamming up. And you have the same brush then on this side here, obviously. Also, there's a brush built in underneath on the belt, so if anything does get in there, the way it sits at an angle, it kind of will brush off and take it out at the side here. So it's well enough designed, and it seems to work well. So so far so good. And then of course we had less waste in the ground, we had less having to clear up, having to clean up, and all that, as I say, is part of the reason why we wanted to change it. Now we purchased 2016 one of these diet feeders last year. Come with this elevator on it, had a bit of damage on it. We got that all fixed up, but we don't want to start using it yet because there's nothing wrong with this feeder that we're using, and we want to use away at this for another while. We actually got this feeder relined during the summer because it's, as I say, nothing wrong with it. Don't see the reason to have to change over to the new one. So we're just parking the new one in the shed. It didn't cost a huge amount of money. We did get it all fixed up. As I said, there was a damage on it. We had cut a piece out the side of it, welded in a new piece. But all that is sorted now, and it just means that if anything happens to this feeder, we have any issues with it, we can pop the other one out, swap over the elevator. The elevator takes about, I suppose you'd fit it in about 20 minutes, half an hour or so. It's only a few bolts and just get it jacked up and into position, so it's not a big job to change it. So it just means that we're never going to be caught. But these, look, I've been singing the praise of these feeders for a long time. There's very little to go wrong with them. All there is there's about 6 bearings in them altogether. one large chain, one small chain, and that's really it. There's nothing to give trouble in them. You can mix about 2.5 ton of material in them, no problem at all. And yeah, great feeder. Compared to the likes of Keenan or some of the other ones, there's a lot of stuff to wear out in Keenan's, and they're constantly giving trouble. These here are bulletproof. Just basically keep the chain greased when it wears down, change it, and that's all you need to do. But yeah, happy to have this new feeder on. I will try and get a wee bit of footage, and I'll add it in now just when I'm using it. I'll put it in after it's part of the video, so you'll get to see it in action and all. So yeah, so far so good, and we'll keep you updated on how we're getting on with it, or if I find any issues with it going forward. Alright, so I mentioned that earlier in the week we had a weighing system fitted on the Teleporter for us to demo over the next number of weeks. It is a RDS weighing system. It's the weighlog Alpha 10. So some of you may be already familiar with this, but for those who aren't, I'll just give a little demonstration of some of the things that you can do with it. So what's different about this? This Teleporter comes with its own weighing system on it anyway, even though it hasn't worked properly probably in the last couple of years, so I haven't been using it. But what is different about this? Well, this here has got a lot of extra features. Some of them can be for rations, so it can hold your rations. You can store up to 5 different rations for feeding cattle in it, so you can weigh all your rations out, put them in the diet feeder, but without actually having to use the diet feeder's weighing scale. So the benefits of that is probably not that much benefit up close to the feeder itself, but for the likes of silage, I can weigh my silage at the silage pit. I know what's in the bucket, and I can go straight to the feeder and drop it straight into it. Sometimes when you're letting silage into a feeder, you can end up letting a bit too much in, and that then can alter your ration slightly. So being able to weigh it at the pit, know what you have leaving the pit, and drop it into just being able to go over and drop it straight into the feeder, that's a benefit. Also, some of our feeds are quite dusty, and on windy days you lose quite a lot of feed, so to be able to measure it in the shed, know that there's 150 kilos of a feed in the bucket, and to be able to go out and just drop it straight in without having to shake the bucket and lose a certain percentage of the feed in the wind is also a big saving that you could make on it. Another thing is the simple enough thing down the bottom of the yard where we have to go to pick up our beet and our potatoes, to be able to weigh the beet or potatoes down the bottom of the yard would be beneficial. At the minute what I'm having to do is I go down, I just fill a bucket of beet, could be maybe 650 kilos in it. I only need 500 kilos of that, so when I go up I'm tipping out the 500 kilos, and I'm having to drive back down the yard again to offload the 150 kilos extra I had in, and then drive back up. So there's time being lost there, money being wasted on diesel and usage of tyres that you wouldn't really need to do. So there's a lot of benefits to having the likes of this machine, even for me who has got a weigher on the diet feeder. Okay, another feature that I really like on this is one called target load. So just say you want to fill a certain amount of feed into a trailer, or you're selling just say you're selling 5 tonne of silage to somebody. You click on 5, you click OK. So you see now 5 tonne has come up here on the screen. You have a bucket of feed now. The first bucket of silage or whatever you're selling is in the bucket. When you lift it up now and it reads what weight is in it, it will deduct it off it. So you can see straight off, it deducts it off it, and you can see what you've put in. So you put in 640 kilos. You still need another 4.36 tons, and very simple way of measuring what you have put in already and what you still need to put in. Yeah, so super little weigher, very impressed with it, lots of features on it, and something that I could see being very beneficial around a farmyard. A big thank you to Gavin in Wildtech who left it out for me to try it out. Came out and fitted on the machine, very professional, great job done. And yeah, if you're looking or interested in any of that kind of stuff, I will leave a link in the description below for you to go over to his website, and you can contact him through that if you're looking for anything like that. So yeah, Wildtech, that's the name of the company that's doing them, an Irish based company here in County. Alright, so I mentioned a wee bit earlier in the video, Adrian, we found, and Farmer P are having some terrible trouble getting their Case International started. Their cases are, I think, around early 90s, probably around that age. Pretty much the same as this tractor here that I'm going to start now. And this tractor hasn't been started since Christmas, so roughly it's about 5 weeks since it was up and running. So we'll see how it starts compared to the International. Now maybe the battery will be dead in it and it'll make an absolute show of me. And if it does, I'll put it up on the YouTube. Alright, here we go. We'll turn on the ignition. And we'll turn her over and see how she goes. That's how a real tractor starts. None of this faffing about and having to beg, get down on your knees and beg for it to start. It's the colour, boys. You just went the wrong colour. That's it for today's video. See you in the next one.